Okay. My name is Jason Gerraughty. I'm coming from the Southwest region. I'm coming from basically just outside Palm Springs, California. My piece is titled Get It Out of You.
Cool.
My compositional style, let's see. This is like by the way, this is going to be the hardest question you ask any of the composers. They're all going to
I believe you.
fall flat on their face because then they're all going to say something like, well, it's really eclectic. And so I would describe myself easily, or I mean, most easily, as something like a neo-expressionist or neo-romantic or something like that. I have a concern with kind of being a custodian for the classical music tradition, but kind of the way I describe it in my bio is like fresh blooms from roots in the classical tradition. So I consider myself like part of a long line, and so that's it's kind of a part of baked into the DNA of how I write is I don't throw out the language of centuries. So yeah.
That's actually a really good answer in my mind.
Yeah, cool.
That's cool. Yeah. Okay. Have you entered many composition contests before?
None like this. This is.
And actually, let me tell you
Sorry.
something I forgot. If you can put the question in the answer. So if
okay.
I say, what is your favorite color, rather than blue, say my favorite color is blue. So in this one, you'll say, I have entered.
Yeah. I've entered a few different competitions before, but none of them have been like Rapido. Rapido is kind of entirely its own game. So this has been really exciting.
Cool. What about the Rapido competition drew you in to apply?
I had a professor when I was in school who always prized quickness as a compositional tool. Like the ability to write fast when you needed to was something that he put first and foremost. So it was kind of something that kind of aligned with the way I'd been taught. I liked the idea of the constraints. The idea that you can't really rely on lightning bolt of inspiration. You have to kind of just get to work, and it's a way to it's a barometer for your chops as a composer to see strip everything out. You have no time. You just found this ensemble and you have to put in this thing that we had to write dance movements. I don't like dance movements, but you got to make it work. So get to work on this thing and you have no time. So. It's a unique challenge. So.
Cool. Let me read this question before I pitch it to you. Okay. It's kind of a long question.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find the 14 days from learning the instrumentation to submitting scores to making parts, MP3 recording, did you find that easier or more difficult than you had imagined? And how long did it take you to actually develop your composition?
It's a good question. So I was expecting to find it a lot more difficult than it was. I had previously entered a competition a couple cycles ago, and I had learned a lot from kind of unsuccessfully entering the last competition. My strategy at this point was prioritize the second half of writing, which is the unsexy part of making parts, editing. So I actually, as far as like a timeline, the music, all the notes on the page were written in the first week. And then I spent most of the second week, I shipped the parts out to other performers before I submitted them because I wanted to make sure things were playable. I sat there, I looked over the score, and any composer will tell you that if you look at a score long enough, you'll find another error, another thing that could be nudged over here. It's kind of like this never-ending, pit into which you could throw your throw your feelings about the piece. It's just in the editing process. But I wanted to make sure that I had enough room and that I wasn't doing that at the last minute, because I know that look, the documents themselves have to be they're largely the first and a lot of times only interface that the musicians have with the piece. So that was an important lesson that I learned, and it was that part was the difficult part because, like I said, it's the least sexy part, and you want to ride the good note making feelings, but when you have to sit down and actually strip things away. It's, it's the important part. It just doesn't get billed that way.
All right. If you had more than 14 days, would your composition have been better?
No.
Say
Oh, sorry. If I had more time, if I had more than the 14 days, I don't believe my composition would have been any better. I think that once you've come to grips with the idea, the piece kind of tells you how it's going to be written, or at least that's how it is for me. I've tried to direct pieces in the direction I want them to go in the past, and it's usually my least successful work, my most unsuccessful. So there's a point at which adding more stuff, taking more stuff away just becomes counterproductive, and you're actually taking away from the quality of the work. What's neat about the 14 days is you have to have a clear vision of what you're doing from the start, and you have to decide, like, this is what I'm going for, and commit to it, because there's not a lot of time for self-doubt. There's not a lot of time for, what if,
Cool. Strange question. Did you have a unique sense of contentment after writing your piece so quickly? Any regrets?
Any regrets? Do I have any regrets, or do I feel any more content after writing something so quickly? I was content with being able to do it. So much in the same way, like, you go to the gym, and I don't know if you like weightlift or something. Like, I can barely weightlift. So, this the most similar feeling I've had to it was I bench pressed 225 pounds, which is like, the two big plates on each side. And I can do it like once, and there are guys that can do it, there are monstrous guys that can do it everywhere, but like, I did it once, and like that, but that same kind of like physical satisfaction of like, wow, I just, like, did, like, you, again, like, I don't know what giving birth is like, but I wonder if it's something a little bit like this, just because you're surprised at the end, you're like, oh wow, I did that. Look at that thing I did. And so it's that I definitely felt. I don't feel regrets, because I feel like it was like a physical test, and there are very few competitions out there that test you like that. Like that when you feel like it was, that you again, like a feat of strength, a tour de force,
Cool. I like the birth analogy. How can a composition contest be of benefit to a composer?
The ways in which a composition contest can be beneficial to a composer are, it kind of depends on the parameters of the competition itself. A lot of them are structured in such ways that are that kind of enforce classical music's kind of natural gatekeeping. There are ways in which to do it, which I think Rapido does really well, that enable you to kind of come at it by your own terms. One thing that was really refreshing was that at least the first round was anonymous, which does a lot for, it's nice to at least feel that you don't have to go to the best schools, and you didn't have to study with the best people or go to the best festivals to be considered. There are the payoff again at the end. Like I said, the chance to write for the Atlanta Symphony is like a second to none opportunity. This is a career changer of an opportunity. So if I sound like I'm nervous or like white knuckling it, that's why, because this is a big deal for me. I'm sure it's a big deal for every composer you're going to interview. This is huge, and that's the combination of like being accommodating for people of all at all areas or just levels. Anyone could enter this. You can. It's like how anybody can audition for the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. But like the idea is that you can actually get in, not on the power of just your CV or just the letter of a close friend of the program coordinator or something.
All right. Did you learn anything about yourself in the process?
Did I learn anything about? I think what I learned about myself more than anything is that I'm a better composer than I give myself credit for. And my skill, so like, again, unlike I think every other composer that you're going to interview, like I'm older, I'm 36 years old. I'm not in school anymore. I'm not a composition professor. I don't teach at a school. I am something of an outsider. I live in an artistic, not wasteland, but like there's not a lot going on where I am. There's like one local symphony orchestra. If I travel 2 hours to LA, there's opportunities, but like that means getting in my car and driving, every single time. So, but like where I am is not, I live in a like underserved population. I live, so my point is that kind of thing where you're kind of left in the desert. Like I literally live in the desert, but you're left alone to wander in the desert by yourself, and you turn on social media and you see like, so #blessed to be part of, Tanglewood again this year. And you just start wondering about yourself, like what did I do wrong? Like where did my career turn that I'm out here now? So it was a tremendous affirmation to make it this far. And I definitely think about, my own career a little differently now as a result.
Cool. Has writing on the deadline for Rapido made any successive pieces feel different, like that experience?
Has the deadline made it different? Working on the deadline. Ironically, like I wrote a piece immediately afterward, using some of the same like not ideas, but like some of the same like processes. It's definitely affected the way I think about writing in a way that I don't think I'll ever be able to go back. I learned to trust my instincts a lot more, and learned that maybe the easiest thing to do is just to sit down and work it out, and the piece will come alive on its own rather than kind of sit there and hand wring. I'm actually now, like, I was uncomfortable not having a deadline on the piece I wrote immediately. Like I sat down and immediately wrote another piece, and it was so much more nebulous, and just not having those restraints there that keep you on rails, made it so that I actually ended up having to like build rails for myself so that I could actually like kind of go. So it's fascinating, the way it actually, I never really thought about it until you asked it. But yeah, I guess just writing this piece or for this competition has actually changed the way I work on music, period. So it's kind of scary.
And what's up for you next professionally?
Next professionally, I'm writing for a chamber orchestra in Texas. I'm trying to make something work somehow. I don't have the kind of opportunities that are afforded to me, like by being a student in a school or being in a major city right now. So, and the truth of the matter is I have a 9-to-5 day job, that makes it, and I have a new kid. I have a 9-year-old son, or 9-month-old son rather. And the combination of day job plus 9-month-old son, plus, I bought a house, which is like a money pit. It means that I'm not, I know the right answer to this is that I'm going, I'm going to write for X ensemble and Y ensemble, and I'm going to this festival. But the truth of the matter is I just have to go home and work on paying off my student loans that got me here in the first place.